Hi there and welcome to this holistic yoga video where we're going to look at some gentle exercises you can do when you're kind of laid up in bed recovering. So this is not for when you're feeling really ill with a high temperature and high fever. Then I suggest resting and not doing anything except for maybe focusing on your breathing. Something like 3-part breath might be good, or simply just sleeping. However, if you're feeling like you have a little bit of energy but it's going in and out, you maybe feel a bit achy, maybe feel a bit tired. I've just recovered from COVID, so this is how I felt. It wasn't awful. I had a really mild case of it, but I did feel like I needed to move, and moving really did help me. So for mild cases of things where you're ill, this is a kind of a good sequence for you to try. Obviously, if something doesn't feel right, don't do it. Rest out and be guided by your own body. So we're going to start lying down. Notice I've got a jumper on, I've got socks on. You might even be able to do this in your bed if your bed has got quite a firm mattress. And that would be much more cozy if you're feeling a little bit ill and under the weather. So start with your knees bent and your hands on your belly. And take some really deep breaths into your belly, side ribs and upper chest. So some really deep yogic breaths, reminding yourself of how deep you can breathe. To your belly, keep on inhaling into your side ribs and keeping on inhaling into your upper chest. And then a long exhale. Again, breathing into your belly, side ribs, upper chest, and then a long, long exhale through the mouth. Three more breaths in this way. Making sure you're really filling up into those 3 parts. Long exhale. Think if you can really press out into those side ribs, really expand. Feel that you're really filling up the lungs, really challenging your diaphragm. Really stretching those muscles between your ribs. And then one more of those big deep breaths. And a lovely long exhale. Great. And then straightening one leg, say it's your left leg, and drawing your right knee in towards you. So this might be enough of a stretch. You might feel it on the front of your thigh, or sort of slight feeling of length around your waist on the left side. But if you don't feel enough of a stretch, and if you're not on your bed, if you're on the floor, you could add, this is particularly if you're used to doing a lot of yoga as well, you could add a block underneath your sacrum, and that will increase the lengthening in your psoas muscle a little bit more. So you could do that. Or you could simply not have anything underneath your sacrum, and you could put the block instead underneath your foot. So if it felt like too much of a stretch, you could put 2 or 3 blocks like this one under my sacrum. You could put it underneath your straight leg foot. So kind of making it work for you. Taking those lovely deep breaths into your ribs, into your chest, feeling your lungs working. And just noticing how your knee might come a little bit forwards on the inhale. And your knee might drop a little bit back on the exhale. You might get a bit more of a stretch as your knee hugs in. And breathing into your belly, pressing your diaphragm down into your belly as you inhale. Just really tuning into the breath and seeing the breath as more important than the movement, because it is actually. This is you directing prana through the movement of your body, but also through the movement of your breath, through directing the breath with your mind. So you're really sending that prana into the left side of your body, the left hip, the left side of your waist, the left side of your lower back. And one more breath there. And exhaling and feeling the knee drops in towards you. And then taking that foot down, both feet down on the ground. If you've got a block underneath you, you can leave it there. Or you can do the whole thing without a block. So if you're getting enough of a stretch without a block underneath you, do that. If you're getting too much of a stretch even without a block, then put that straight leg foot up on a stack of about 3 or 4 blocks until your hip and your lower back feels really comfortable. You don't want any tugging around your hip, your inner thigh, or your hip crease, or your lower back. That just means you're tugging on your psoas in an uncomfortable way, and you don't want to do that. So should feel really delicious wherever you are. Inhaling, lengthening through that straight leg side. You might push through the heel a little bit, and then exhaling, the knee moves in towards you a bit. You're inhaling, breathing all the way down into your heel, into the foot. And you're exhaling a long, leisurely exhale, releasing any tightness, any stiffness, feeling that sense of relaxation and peace. It's like your breath becomes like a tidal flow, like a wave flowing through you, refreshing and invigorating and enlivening every cell. It's really good to get more subtle when we're ill, so that we don't move so much, but we use our mind to move the prana, to really activate the power of our life force, our breath energy. And in that way, we're really supporting our body's energy rather than draining it. So really focus on those deep, even, comfortable, gorgeous breathing. And you know you're getting it right if you hear some gurgling in your tummy. That means that you're activating your parasympathetic system, which means that you're helping yourself to repair and restore. It helps to support your immunity when you're more rested and relaxed. That's why rest is so important when you're ill. So really resting, relaxing around the eyes, the face, the jaw. Maybe do one more breath here, making sure your toes are pointing straight up on that straight leg side. And then then bringing that leg down, or sliding both feet to the ground if your foot was on, your hips are on the ground and have both knees bent. And if your hips are still up on the block, then squeeze the buttock muscles, lift up off of that block, keep them squeezed. So you put the block to one side and then lower down, keeping those butt muscles squeezed. And then once you've landed and fully supported, then you can let go of those buttock muscles. And then perhaps you might want to draw in both knees in towards your chest and have a little rock from side to side, easing out any asymmetry in the back of your sacrum. Have a little rock, have a little roll, and perhaps walk your shoulders away from the ears. And then bringing one foot down and the other foot down, and to really set that symmetrical sense of the back of your pelvis, to really set that in, we'll do a little bit of arch and flatten. So rolling forwards, seeing if you can track your tailbone, so you try not to veer off to the left or the right of your tailbone as you roll forwards. Inhaling, breathing down into your hips, into your pelvis. And then exhaling, melting the belly back, scooping the belly in softly and feeling that wave of breath flowing up. So as you inhale, you roll forwards, you feel the wave of the breath flowing down towards your hips, your knees, even towards your feet, tracking that tailbone right down the center line. And then exhaling, flowing back up from your feet all the way up to the top of your head. And then inhaling back down again. So focus more on the wave of the breath than your movement, although the two are linked and you're seeing how they work together. You might bring your arms in, which can be really nice because we can find that we can get a bit crunched up around our neck, shoulder, jaw area when we're ill. So rolling the arms out as you inhale and rolling the arms in as you exhale. So externally rotating the arms as you lift the chest towards your chin, chin towards your chest. Stay within your comfort zone. Less is more. Really think about it as a pranic wave moving through you. It just happens to be followed by your movement. Lifting the lower back a bit away from the floor as you roll towards the tailbone, and exhaling, rolling the arms in, lengthening the back along the floor, and chest concaves. Shoulder blades move apart. And then roll the arms out, shoulder blades move together and down, the back of the neck lengthens. As the back arches on the inhale, and then exhaling, back flattens. And the back of the neck lifts away from the floor as the chin moves away from the chest. And then one more inhale, flowing down with the prana, and one more exhale, flowing up with the prana, and then coming to your neutral position and resting there. Feeling how your breathing is now, hopefully a little bit easier. Now there's a little bit more of an unwinding and releasing in your belly, in your chest. And then perhaps taking your fingertips towards your shoulders and making some nice circles. And you might feel some clicks and clunks. You might hear my shoulders clicking and clunking. And that's all fine. That's hardened fascia moving against hardened fascia, like blue tack that you kind of picked off a wall, and you're softening and warming and making it more pliable and juicy. Each time you circle, you'll be kind of clearing some of that fascial build-up and that tension and stiffness and hardness that comes with the fascial build-up. Beautiful. Movement really is the antidote to that stiffening that comes into our shoulders and our hips when we spend too much time in one place, in one position. Good, and speaking of which, we can get quite achy hips when we're lying down a lot and lying on our side. So let's pay attention to that. And it's a similar position, taking one knee in towards your chest and sliding your hand down into the hip crease on that same side, taking the opposite hand to your knee And doing a little bit of circling and easing out and rocking. And it may be that you want to kind of work here in this way, easing out and releasing, particularly if you have very stiff hips. Or it may be that you might want to rest that arm out in a T shape and roll over and really relax into the twist, breathing into the side of the hip. And if it feels grippy, you can press forwards with your thumb into the hip crease to sort of grip it. If it feels pretty okay, then you can rest there and breathe into the side hip and the glute, and even into the side of your chest and the side of your rib cage. Take those deep breaths, really anchor the shoulder blade if you can. Deep, 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 long breaths, moving the prana into your hip, into your glute, into your chest, into the side of your neck that you're turning away from. Feeling all that space that you're moving this life force energy into. So nice. Good, good, good. And then let your head roll back to center and bring the foot onto the ground and the other foot onto the ground, and then you can come to the other side. So you're crossing that arm over, maybe bringing your hand into the hip crease, giving a little wiggle or a shake or a rock or a zigzag. You can bring your arm out in a T shape or a Y shape or a kind of it's a stick up kind of right angle shape can also be good. And you're rolling if it feels nice, keeping that shoulder blade anchored and rolling the head. And remembering that you might be kind of juicing things around with your tissues, or you might be using your mind to move that breath energy into your ribs, into your chest, into the side of your hip or the side of your thigh, side of your glute. So work with it in the way that feels appropriate for you today, how you feel, without needing to push yourself. If you're feeling a bit under the weather, that's the last thing you want to do. You want to really practice with a sense of kindness, patience, calmness, of being really generous to yourself, really calm and kind with yourself. Like your aim is to nurture, not to push or force. You can't push yourself better, but you can nurture yourself better. Really taking those long breaths, moving or being still, whatever feels more appropriate to you in this position. Feeling the breath like a wave moving through you. And then let your head come up to center, let that knee come up to center, and take both feet onto the ground. And reach one arm up, slowly in no particular hurry, rolling over onto your side. And then pressing up and coming to all fours. You might place something underneath your knees, but we're actually going to come down into child pose, so you might not need anything. You could have a rolled up blanket underneath your ankles if they're stiff, or behind your knees if they're stiff, or you could keep your hips up higher if your back, knees or ankles are stiff, and having your head on your fists, piled up one on top of the other like one potato, two potato, resting there, so there's plenty of room for your head. And inhaling through your nose and exhaling with a lovely long sigh. So feel the inhale goes into the back of your body, into your kidney and adrenal area. Sometimes the kidneys can be quite put upon when we're ill. It might be a sign to drink more water if you are feeling a little bit achy in your kidney area. Exhaling with a long sigh. Feeling any tiredness, any tension,
Any stress can drain into the ground. So all your focus is on healing energy. There's no need to put your mind towards any thoughts of work or stressful situations. Devoting your life force energy instead completely to your own healing. And again, a long exhale. One more like this, breathing into the back of the body, into the back of the lungs, reminding yourself that there's plenty of lung tissue in the back. Breathing all the way down into those lower parts of the back of the lungs. And a long exhale. So lifting your head now and coming to lying on your front, and you might want to lie on a bed pillow. Here I've got a folded up blanket, but you may even want a bed pillow, particularly if your back feels tight. And your bed pillow is underneath your belly, so it's not underneath your, it sort of starts, the edge of the pillow starts at your lower ribs. And then rest your head down, shoulders away from the ears, and tuck toes under, lift both knees and squeeze your buttock muscles, thigh muscles, calf muscles, squeeze your ankles. But relax your upper body, melt your shoulders, your jaw, your face, your neck, your chest. And tighten your lower body, your lower belly, your buttock muscles, your thighs, your knees, your calves, your ankles, your feet. Breathe normally, but feel how your breath is going into your ribs, not into your belly, because everything in the lower body is tightening. Hold that tightening, but see if you can release the upper body and relax it. And then slowly release the thighs down, the knees down, point the toes, roll the heels out, widen the back of the pelvis and relax. Relax the whole body. Feel that life force energy comes into your legs, your buttock muscles, your feet, your knees, your ankles, your hips. For a little while there, feel the whole body breathing, whole body resting on the floor or on your bed. You've got your hands to support your head, so really tuck your nose in so you've got enough room to breathe through. And feel the breath in the back of the body again. And if your lower back feels tight or uncomfortable, remember you can put another cushion underneath or another stacked up blanket. Really breathing into the back of the body, really feeling how you could access that lung tissue at the back and soothe those kidneys and adrenal glands at the back. Relaxing your eyes, your face, your forehead, your jaw. Beautiful. And then lifting your head, I'm going to do a very subtle stretch for your inner thigh. So reaching, say, your right arm forwards and bending your left knee out. And making a kind of a diagonal shape with your arms. So your left elbow is down and your right elbow is kind of in line with your right shoulder and reaching forwards. And then resting on one side. Some of you might want to put a little blanket or a pillow underneath this inner knee if it's pressing down too much and feels like it's jamming onto the ground. And the idea is just to feel that left inner thigh releasing and relaxing and lengthening. You might even feel it all the way up into the pelvic floor. And if it feels like your pelvic floor needs more strengthening rather than releasing, then you can press down into the ground with that inner thigh. Sort of pushing the floor away with the inner thigh can give a little bit of strength and length into that inner thigh and pelvic floor area. And keep your jaw soft, your face soft, particularly if you're doing the pressing. You want that pressing to happen in the inner thigh, not in your jaw muscle working, not in your neck muscle working. It should feel really relaxing and soft. And again, your attention is on your breathing, because this is the life force energy that we're guiding to these different areas of our body, so we can really feel enlivened by prana. That the prana can help to clear out any unwanted stuff, whether it's tension or toxins or whatever, viruses. But we're doing that in a very calm way, so we're not trying to kind of drive out these forces and work hard. We're just being really kind and soft and relaxed. So you could come up onto your forearms now, if that's okay for your back. And then slide that leg back and slide the other leg out. So I've got a right angle here, but it might be a bit of a less of an angle for you. Feel what feels right for you. And then take that other elbow forwards, make that diagonal, and rest the other way. So you find that there might be a little bit of a stretch on that elbow that's reaching forwards on that side of the shoulder. A little bit of a stretch in the inner thigh perhaps, and again you could press the inner thigh down into the ground to activate some strengthening there. And feel yourself kind of resting on the ground, relaxing on the ground, and letting the prana flow into those areas of the body where it might not normally go, into the inner thigh area, into that hip, maybe into the side of the waist, of the side you're turning away from, into the ribs, between those ribs. Just relaxing in the jaw, the face, the eyes, really melting any unnecessary tension that you might find. Really allowing the belly to move with the breath, allowing the ribs to move with the breath. Feeling the breath in the back of the body as well as the front. Beautiful, and then coming up onto your forearms and sliding that leg away. Sliding one arm forwards and rolling over onto your side. I'm going to invite you to pop your legs up against a wall. If there's a wall near your bed, that's perfect. So you can just kind of stick your legs up on the wall there. And if you're using your everyday wall, make sure it's not too cold. And if it is, you want to have some cozy socks on. You could even, let's do this. You could even use another blanket over your legs, which can be really cozy and lovely. So I've got a blanket for my head here, and then I'm lying back down the head is supported by this blanket, and then I've got my knees are bent, so I don't know if you can see here. I'm having my knees directly over my hips, and make sure you've got something really nice underneath your back of your pelvis so you feel really warm and cozy. And then with the knees bent directly over the hips, you can kind of have you can kind of tuck the blanket underneath you and all around you, so the blanket kind of holds you and keeps you warm at the same time. So you can roll up a little lip on the bottom of this blanket underneath your neck to support your neck a little bit. Have your hands resting on your belly and breathe into your belly here. Super cozy and nice. So I've got the blanket really wrapped around the back of my thighs. My heels are not on the wall, they're on the blanket. So it's wrapped around my feet and over my feet. So I'm really cozy and warm here and really relaxed. It's really good to gift yourself these moments of complete nurturance. So we tend to be a little bit hard on ourselves and drive ourselves. I mean, it's not really the best way to treat ourselves. Often we treat ourselves as we wouldn't treat others. So really taking care of yourself when you're ill, really being kind. Having that sense of really supporting yourself and your inner being. So nice. So resting there, feeling the back of the sacrum, spreading and widening on the floor, that feeling of opening in the chest, that feeling of anchoring through the back of the sacrum, through the shoulder blades, the elbows, even the heels resting on the wall, on the blanket on the wall, and the back of the head resting. And feeling that you're really held by the wall, by the ground underneath you. And you don't need to do anything. Simply watching your breath flowing through you. And feeling the healing qualities of each individual breath. Now if you find your legs going tingly, then it's time to come down. But if your legs feel fine and they're not tingly at all, then that's fine. You can stay up there. And the way that you would come down is to bring your feet together and your knees out to the sides, and you could support your hands on your thighs. But by all means, you could stay up a little bit more if you wanted to. Breathing here, wherever feels right for you, whatever feels comfortable and best for you. And having your mind focused on the breath, on that healing force flowing through you, supporting your life force energy. And just checking in for any tightening, any gripping, any unnecessary holding, maybe in your hips or your jaw or your face, your shoulders or your hands or your feet. And reminding the body it can let go, it can relax, inviting the body to relax, to soften, to become more responsive to the breath. And then if you haven't slid your legs down the wall, then do so. And then bring your knees in towards each other. And reach one arm up and roll over slowly onto one side. And push up. And then I invite you to simply lie down. So you may lie down in bed, or you may go back to bed, and popping a blanket or a rolled up blanket or a pillow underneath your knees as you go back to bed can be a really nice way of kind of, so I'll just show you with this kind of cushion here, just on one edge. You could use a bed pillow. And then lying down, maybe in bed, maybe on your yoga mat if it's very cozy and comfy. And taking your hands to your belly. And taking a little bit of time out, you might want to put another relaxation track on, like a breath practice or your yoga nidra practice. Taking some more time out to be with your body, breathing and resting. Maybe walk the shoulders away from the ears. Have the right amount of support for your head, so not too much so that your head is pushing forwards like this. You want to feel that you could be lengthening in the front, the back and the sides of the neck. We'll just take a few more breaths here. So inhaling through your nose. Exhaling with a long sigh. Feeling that flow of the breath down towards your feet. And then back up from your feet as you exhale. And a long exhale. Beautiful. So do continue to relax. It's a really great time to do breath practice, yoga nidra practice, relaxation practice when you're ill. And I'm sure it will hasten your recovery because rest is how we recover. And remember, when you do come up, to roll over slowly to one side and push up. So you take care of your spine. Namaste. Wishing you well.